Keywords. Yes, that's an interesting one. There's an awful lot of hype about not if they should be used, but how, especially if you're an author or a writer and you're trying to use them to market your works, especially if those works are for sale. I'm just trying to think of the best ways to answer this question and how to approach it for people. Now, if you look at us, we're going through a long period of non-fiction works. We do have some fiction works in the pipeline, good writers working on projects with us, but we've got a lot of non-fiction titles coming on the market, and some of those helping writers and people working in communications and so forth. The thing that we've learned to do is spot the very popular keywords and mid and low popularity words. And if you take one of our sales books as an example, we will use keywords like sales, but we don't expect to get found too much from that particular word. The reason being is because anybody else that's got a book or any form of material or website or whatever it might be will also use that keyword. So we'll use it, but we have to be realistic in terms of the results that we'll get. What we will do though is we'll pair that keyword with another keyword or a key phrase, and let's say sales enablement, which is a bit of a buzz phrase at the moment, a bit of a buzz term, but nowhere near as popular as sales, and certainly much more popular than others. So because the book I'm thinking in mind relates to sales enablement as well, we'll use both. So we'll use keywords that are very popular and other keywords or key phrases in that particular example that are not. There'll be other keywords that we might throw in there depending on how many that we can use. Now, the mindset that I think authors and writers need to have with this is to not get too specific or to try not to worry too much about it. The reason why I'm saying that is if you look at some of the major platforms, we all know who those are without having to list them, but there are software capabilities that you can buy into to find out what is the most popular keyword or key phrase of that day or of that week or the month, or say like whenever. The thing is, the ones that really, really work, or at least are supposed to really, really work and really work well, probably cost in excess of $1,000 a year, and maybe more, depending on the titles that you have. There are some mid-range applications that you can buy into, and there are some applications that are low tier. Some might even be free, but you have to question how accurate that they are. And the reason why I'm saying this is that a lot of these platforms work with these applications, and the applications charge certain amounts of money for good reason, i.e. they have access to key level information and data that is highly likely to make a difference. So if you've got lots of books, or you're a publishing organization, or you're making a good living from your books but you feel that you can sell more, sure, you can buy into the high tier applications because you'll probably see the benefit of that over time. Lots of authors and writers don't have those options though, nor do they have the disposable income or budget to spend on such things. So these are the chats that we see on social media, or questions that we get asked about how to overcome these things. The reason why I'm trying to answer this question in this way is, or in the way that I've got in mind, is try to get a good spread of keywords that represent what you do, that represent your book or your titles. You can, of course, mix them up a little bit if you have 2 or 3 books of the same genre or that might come across in the same or like similar sector. The reason why I'll say don't get too hooked on them or hung up on them is because you'll never actually know which keywords are likely to be as popular the next day or the next week or the next month. So unless you're going to sign up to X amount of time to monitor keywords on a daily basis, which is very laborious and very analytical, which is certainly not what lots of creative people want to do unless they have those kind of skill sets in their background. What you want to do is put these frameworks in place and let them work for you whilst you're working on your next project. The thing with that is that sales enablement, going back to that example I was referring to for one of our books, will probably work well for us for a week or 2, maybe even a month. After that, one of the less popular keywords or key phrases that we then might choose might find itself with some greater popularity. So we'll put a relevant mix together. That's the first initial thing that I must say. You've got to put keywords and key phrases together that are relevant to what you're trying to market. Otherwise, the platform will be intelligent enough to realize that there's some kind of disconnect somewhere, and you'll get downgraded in the search results, or at least there won't be a surprise if that occurs. And of course, you only want to find people that are interested in certain topics, opposed to find people interested in other topics, hoping that they'll buy your book if they come to find it. So there's always these points of relevance that you must find. But we do believe there's a good spread of keywords and key phrases that you can use that, depending on the popularity of one day, another one will become more popular the next or the next week and overtake it. And you'll get that merry-go-round going on all of the time, depending on different key terms and phrases people hear in the market, how they choose to search for whichever books, so on and so forth. We'll probably also have good results on a regular basis. I know this has happened before on keywords and phrases like sales. Just that simple, highly popular keyword that I discounted a little bit before because I know that lots of other people will be using it. But that in conjunction with other keywords or phrases, and let's say sales enablement again, where the word sales appears again, both will and can add value depending on different search terms and different trends. So if you are generating a good income from your writing or your creative works or your books, for sure, seek out the platforms that will give you the intelligence in terms of what a popular keyword or phrase is at any given time, and you can manage that information accordingly based on the time that you can invest into that process. But it can get very laborious to do on a daily basis.